Oh my gosh, there's a fire. Do you think the fire was an accident or do you think it was set on purpose? I don't know. I hope it doesn't burn that whole house down. It seemed like a really cool house. I guess we'll have to read and find out what's going on. Here's chapter 21 of The Secret Garden. Chapter 21, The Fire. Mary and Dickon raced toward the house. There were flames at every window and black smoke billowing up from the blue sky. The house was burning to the ground. As they reached the front door, Martha staggered out, coughing and sputtering. Mary, Dickon, stay away! The brigade's been called. We can't do anything more. Is everyone out? Demanded Mary. Not the master, said Martha, her eyes starting to fill with tears. We don't know where he is. No one's seen him since the blaze started. Mary sprinted toward the door. She leaped up the steps. Mary! Dickon shouted. I know where he will be, Mary yelled. She raced across the hall and up the stairs. The air was smotheringly hot, smoke billowing down the staircase, making her eyes stream. The house was filled with the crackling of fire and crashes of objects as the hungry flames devoured them. Mary ran up to the second floor and raced to Colin's room. The door was open, and her uncle was standing inside. He was looking around helplessly, as if he didn't know what to do. I knew you would be here, Mary gasped. Her uncle shook and started to cough. His face was smudged with dirt, and his hair was in disarray. Colin, where's Colin? He gasped as the fire raged through the house. Come on, Uncle, please, come on, Mary said, tugging his arm. I will not leave this house without my son, her uncle said, shaking his head. I can't desert him, not again. Your son isn't here, sir, insisted Mary. Her uncle's face creased with grief. He's dead? He's dead already? No, I was just with him 5 minutes ago. I give you my word. On the soul of Grace Craven. Now please come with me and I will show you where he is. Mary knew she had to get him out quickly. She tugged his arm again, and this time he did allow her to pull him out of the room as the flames began to engulf it. His face was dazed. He was having trouble breathing. Mary pulled him down the smoke-filled corridor, but they reached the stairs and there was a crack overhead. Part of the ceiling fell down. The plaster was burning. Mary yelped and jumped back. The house was burning down around them. We need to find another way. She turned and led him past Colin's room, but as they hurried through the smoke, the floor in front of them gave way. Flames were leaping up through it. We're trapped, thought Mary in despair. We're going to be burned alive. She turned to her uncle. Uncle, you know this house best. How can we get out? Coughing hard, her uncle collapsed on the floor. No, she cried in dismay. Please don't. I can't lift you. She tried to drag him back to his feet, but he shook his head. Leave me. Please, leave me here, he said in despair. Mary shook her head stubbornly. No, Colin needs you, Uncle. No, I've ruined everything, her uncle croaked. Mary heard footsteps. Looking up, she saw the ghostly figures of her mother and her Aunt Grace appear in the corridor. Her eyes met theirs, pleading, begging, and in an instant, Grace was beside her. Her hands were helping her uncle to his feet. Then she was gone again, running to join her sister by the door that led to the hidden room. They both looked straight at Mary. Mary was sure they were trying to help her. This way, she gasped. Mary helped her uncle along the corridor. They followed the ghostly figures. Her mother and Grace went into the room with the murals and disappeared through the wall into another secret room. Mary pressed the hidden catch and desperately pushed her uncle into that room, slamming the door behind them. The sisters were standing on the far side of the room now. With a conspiratorial look, they vanished. No, Mary cried. And then she saw it. There was another door right where they had been standing. It was small and thin and disguised by wallpaper, but it had a little round handle. Mary turned the handle, but the door was locked. "Uncle, help me," she cried, starting to kick at the flimsy door. She looked back at him. He was kneeling on the floor again, looking around at all the dresses. He was crying, so many tears in his eyes. "I need your help!" He finally staggered to his feet and ran at the door with all of his weight. It splintered and gave way, and they fell through into the servants' staircase. It was free from fire. They stumbled down it and came out through a door onto the main staircase of the hall. Flames were actually licking at the stairs. The figures of her mother and Grace appeared again in front of them. They were running down toward the hall. Mary grabbed her uncle's hand, and they followed them. As they neared the bottom, smoke billowed up from the stairwell. Mr. Craven lost his footing and fell again. He was dragging Mary down with him. Together they crashed to the bottom, landing in a heap on the tiled floor of the entrance hall. For a moment, Mary was too dazed to move. She looked up woozily and saw her mother bending over her. "Mother?" She wasn't sure if she thought it or spoke it out loud, but her mother smiled. "Oh, Mother, I've ruined everything," Mary said, tears filling her eyes, "and I just wanted to make things better." Her mother reached out and stroked her cheek. Mary's heart stopped still. "Please stay, Mother," she begged. Her mother gave a sad shake of her head and kissed Mary's hair. At the ghostly touch of her lips, Mary felt the deep surge of her mother's love. Their eyes met one last time, and then Mary's mother smiled tenderly. Now she was gone. "Mary!" she heard Dickon yell, and he and Martha came charging through the smoke. They were coughing. "Mary, are you—" "Get my uncle!" she screamed. Take him first!" Martha and Dickon lifted Mr. Craven up by the arms. Dickon looked around to help Mary too, but she was already struggling to her feet by herself. As she reached the door, she glanced back and saw the smiling figures of her mother and Grace standing at the foot of the grand staircase. Their faces were happy and they were peaceful. Taking hold of each other's hands, they walked upstairs right into the flames. They were reclaiming their home and vanishing from sight. "Goodbye," Mary thought. Coughing and gasping for her breath, she staggered out of the door and into the fresh air.